Am I the a-hole because I won't tell my wife what my son/her stepson has in savings from my late wife? My wife, 40s, and I, 40s, have a blended family. I have a 16-year-old son with my late wife. My wife has a 13-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son with her ex-husband, and they share custody. We have a 4 and a 2-year-old together. When my late wife was sick, she told me she wanted a % of the compensation she was issued for her medical misdiagnosis to go to our son's savings. She also had a second savings account she wanted to add to it. This was on top of what the two of us had saved for him before her illness. I honored her wishes and I continued saving for our son's future. This is a promise I made to my late wife that I have stood by. I also promised I would protect it and make sure it was only ever for him, nobody else. When my present wife and I started seriously dating, we talked about what saving would look like for our kids when we married. She knew I had always saved, as had my late wife. We didn't discuss how much either of us had saved for our existing kids, but we agreed to an amount every month that would be saved for all three, and this was talked about again when we had children together. Recently there has been a lot of stress on my wife. Her ex has refused to discuss my stepkid's savings and if he pays anything or not. She also feels like we haven't been able to save enough every month like promised, because it was just one thing after another. There are months we've missed because of things beyond our control. Life stuff, mostly, like things breaking, etc. A few weeks ago my wife told me we should put all the cards on the table and discuss what all 5 kids have and decide how we proceed with making sure everyone gets what they need for the future. I told her I would happily discuss what I have saved for my oldest, but I would not be discussing the money left by his mom. She pushed back on it and said all the money should be taken into consideration. I told her we don't know what all the money is. I said our parents could be saving money for the kids' futures, her ex could have money for my stepkids, his parents could have money for my stepkids. We can't say for certainty what everyone will have at the end, and it's only fair to discuss what she and I have and can save. She told me it sounds like I don't trust her. I responded by asking why she wants to know this so badly. By only talking about what we've saved, we're on an even footing. She told me if we knew everything we could focus on the kids who will have less a little more. That our younger two are probably going to be the worst off long term, and she would be open to combining all the money and dividing it. I told her I was not on board with that, and what my son has from his mom is not going to be shared or used for any of the other kids. We argued about it, but I refused to say. She feels like that's wrong when we're married. I told her it's not my money, nor is it her money or money that we can or should be accessing. It's from my late wife to our son, and that's all there is to it. My wife said she feels like I'm keeping her in the dark and not trusting her with something important. She said it cuts her ability to fully engage in conversations we need to be able to have and decisions we need to make as a couple. Am I the a-hole? If the amount is sizable, and it sounds like it is, that money should have been put in a trust for your kid. If the money right now is just earmarked for your son, it could be considered as part of your assets in case of a divorce. Edit: I'm not a lawyer and nobody should ever take my advice on anything. Divorce may not be the biggest risk if premarital assets are exempt. That being said, divorce law changes between jurisdictions, so who knows? Still, having the kid's property clearly established as such is not a bad idea anyway. Other crap can happen like death, bankruptcy, etc. My uncle took the money left to his children after my aunt's passing, which she specifically left for her children. Now none of them speak to him. All 3 kids will never speak to their father again. He's a pariah, not allowed at family functions, and not allowed to see his grandchildren. All he has is his nagging wife. No family. Her children barely speak to them as well. Hope it was worth it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for videotaping my wife eating all my fries to make a point? I've seen many posts about wives/girlfriends who insist they don't want anything when the husband/BF is getting food but then proceed to eat his food, so I apologize if this sounds familiar. I don't eat a lot of fast food, but I do indulge when we have long drives. My wife typically packs a lot of healthy snacks for herself, yogurt/quinoa salads in the cooler, protein bars, whatever. I like MCDs. She claims the food is disgusting but then invariably wants a few fries and ends up eating half of them or more, although she always denies eating so many and claims she just had a few. On the trip in question a couple weeks ago, it's she and I, and my 13 years old son Nick. Wife needs a bathroom, so we pull off at an exit where there's a MCD's. Son and I go to order food to go. While she's in the bathroom, I asked her if she wanted anything, as I always do, and she said, "No, but I will take a couple of your fries." My go-to order at MCD's is the $5, although now it's $6 at a lot of places, value meal which includes a McDouble, 4 McNuggets, a small fries and a drink. It's plenty of food for me. It would still be plenty if my wife took a few or a couple fries. I like MCD's fries, but I always eat them last because while I don't mind if the fries are not piping hot, I do like the other food best when it's still warm. Side note, having read other Reddit stories on this topic, I'm sure some will say, just order more fries even though she says she doesn't want anything. I've tried. I get a medium for me and give her the small from the value meal. But a medium fries is almost $4, and it is over $4 with tax. That's adding over 60% to the cost of the meal. And when I've done this, then she insists on not touching the fries because I told you not to get any for me. So now I've got a small fries and a medium fries to eat on my own. Which I can do, but it seems like a waste to spend another $4 since I was perfectly happy with the original amount of food. Anyway, on this day, I tell my son I want to do an experiment. I tell him after we get our food and get back to the car to take out all of his food, take my burger and give it to me, and take my McNuggets and hold them in the back seat, so that the only thing left in the bag is my fries. Now, admittedly, a small fries at MCD's isn't that many, but it's typically at least 20 to 30 fries. I tell him to put the bag with the fries on the console between my wife's and my seat, and to set up his phone to take a video of the bag from the back seat which will record until I tell him to stop. I tell him that I am not going to put my hand in the bag at any time and I predict that his mom will eat all of my fries. Sure enough, we're driving along. I eat my burger, make some small talk, see my wife's hand go into the bag several times, I ask my son for my McNuggets, I eat those, FYI, I eat them sauce-free so no mess in the car, chit-chat further, all the while smirking to myself as I see my wife's hand go back into the bag some more. Finally she says, "Okay, give me your garbage," and starts putting it in the MCD's bag. I say, "What are you doing?" And she says, "Cleaning up." I say, "I still need to eat my fries," and she says, "We ate them all, honey." I'll admit I overacted a bit here on purpose, incredulously announcing loudly, "What do you mean we ate them all? I haven't had any." To be clear, I wasn't mad, this was the result I expected anyway, but I tried to act mad while suppressing laughter. She said, "Don't be silly, I only had a couple." And I repeated that I had not had a single fry and that I had video evidence to prove it. She said, "What do you mean?" And I said that Nick had taken a video of the past 20 minutes or so and you will not see me take any fries from that bag, so if they're all gone it's because you ate them all. And she blew up at me and him in a way that I did not expect. Yelling about videotaping without consent, as if I had made a surreptitious sex tape or something egregious like that, yelling at Nick for going along with your father's foolish pranks, etc. I told her I just wanted her to understand that she eats more of my food than she realizes, and this is why I would prefer to just get her a separate order of fries so that we can both enjoy our food without resentment. She never watched the video, although I think she now believes that she did in fact eat all the fries. However, she's been ignoring me and, worse, treating our son badly, blowing up at him for little things that never have bothered her before, for the past 2 weeks, expecting an apology for videotaping her, I guess. I thought this was a harmless way to make my point. Am I the a-hole? NTA. Years ago I told my wife that the way she talks to me a significant amount of time is rude and she didn't believe me. Somehow the answering machine recorded her talking to me and we found the recording later when listening to messages. She said, "Wait. I really sound like that?" I said yes, a lot of the time. She was visibly embarrassed and started working on her communication style, which got better. Long story short, sometimes people need to see unbiased evidence because they're too wrapped up in protecting their egos to admit to criticism from someone else. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving up the bathroom to a Crohn's emergency, resulting in their accident? This happened 30 minutes ago. I'm on a job with a porta potty, my stomach has been a mess the last few days, not sure if I'm getting sick or what. I'll leave it at that. I feel a bowel movement is coming on quickly and hustle into the single-use portable bathroom. Before sitting down, I grab a ball of TP, a couple pumps of Purell and wipe off the seat. As I'm doing this I heard Guy hollering for me to wipe fast and exit, him hearing the sound of the toilet paper roll being pulled. I responded I just walked in and would be a few minutes. He says nope, I have to get out right now, he's having an emergency and I kid you not, he slides a business card through the crack of the closed door that said something like, "This person has Crohn's disease, and is prone to sudden bathroom emergencies. Please allow them the courtesy of cutting any bathroom lines." I have never seen anything like that before. But no problem. Through the door I said I'm having stomach issues as well but I will finish as quick as I can to help you out. He yells back no. I'm going to SHT my pants. Open the damn door. There was definitely a less rude way to ask but it didn't matter as I was also having a last minute need of a bathroom. So I finished up and exited within 3 or 4 minutes. When I got out, I saw him at his van getting inside. I said, "Hey man. It's all yours." And he tells me, "Fuck off. Your selfishness caused me to crap my pants, and now I'm going home." Speechless, I just said, "I'm sorry, I honestly just had to go badly." His last reply was, "It does not matter. His doctor gave him this card because he has an actual disease that gives him less than 30 seconds and people with IBS or Crohn's always must be given priority." Was I the a-hole here? I always thought whoever got in first used the bathroom. I moved it along once I knew he needed it, but I too had to use the bathroom quickly or I'd have exited for him, despite him demanding orders versus asking politely. This is why there should always be 2 bathrooms. And yes, he has a problem and should have priority when there's a line etc. in restaurants, movies, whatever. But he can't expect you to exit the only toilet when you also need it badly, then you could crap your pants so he didn't? When 2 need the bathroom badly and there's only one, well, it's first come first serve. NTA. It's just like if all of the stalls in a bathroom are in use and a person who needs a handicap stall needs to wait, their disability should get them accommodations, but it doesn't mean they get to kick someone out, especially if it's already in use. It sucks for him and I empathize, but if he's got Crohn's and he's on a job site, he needs to have a backup plan. Dudes take forever to poop. He needs a thunder bucket for emergencies. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad I'm changing my name and that I don't exist to be the reincarnation of his mother? 1 month before my mom discovered she was pregnant with me, my grandmother, Dad's mom, passed away. When my parents found out I was a girl, my dad insisted they name me after my grandmother. As I got older, it became clear I looked very much like my grandmother. As a kid, the references and comparisons were nice. I enjoyed hearing stories about my grandma. The comparisons were always complimentary. And then I hit my later teen years. I started doing some things that my family didn't agree with. I chose a college/career path that my dad was not fond of. He began comparing me to my grandmother, but not in a good way. He made it clear I had to live up to her legacy. He said I was going to let her down if I didn't do things the way she had. I was freaked out by this and refused to change what I was doing. And then it continued. I grew out of certain hobbies and was scolded by my dad and his brothers because your grandma enjoyed those. I'd say I didn't anymore, and they'd insist I had to like them because I was just like her. That honestly made me even more done with the hobbies. Before it was because I simply lost interest and gained new ones. Now, it was because I didn't want to do anything she had, because clearly it'd be held over me for life. When I was in college, I cut my hair differently and again, they had a freak out. It was at this point that I entered therapy and realized, for years, they had basically been treating me like the reincarnation of their mother. My dad had warped my entire identity to match his mother's. I started questioning if I really liked certain things, if my dad really loved me for me. So, I started exploring myself, trying new things. My dad continued to get upset. Potentially the biggest upset is when I started going by a shortened version of my name. My full name is Lorraine, but I started going by Rain. Some friends had called me this in high school and college as a nickname, but I fully embraced it. My dad and his brothers refused to call me that, and would get upset if anyone did. Then I dyed my hair. I still look like her in the face, but my hair was constantly compared to hers, and I know it was a kick to my dad and uncles. I explained why I was doing all of this and they called me dramatic, but the comparisons never stopped. Now, I'm 27 and I'm getting married next year. My dad recently asked me if I was going to change my last name. I said yes. He begged me to keep it because even though I go by Rain now, my full, government name is the exact same as my grandmother's. I said I wanted to have the same last name as my husband and any future children we shared. I also told him I was using this as an excuse to change my first name legally to Rain. I'll keep my middle name, which again, I share with my grandmother. My dad was very upset and told me I was being spiteful. I said I'm not being spiteful, I'm trying to reclaim my own identity. I pointed out to him that I don't exist to be the reincarnation of his mother and that maybe if he hadn't pushed the identity so hard on me, I wouldn't feel like I have to do this. He got even more upset and said maybe one day I'll understand how it feels when he's dead. He hasn't spoken to me in a few days and my mom says I hurt his feelings. She feels like I shouldn't have told him I was changing my first name legally and I shouldn't have said all of what I did. My fiancé is on my side. So, I don't know what to think. Am I the a-hole? NTA. Your father and uncles turned you into a walking memorial for your grandmother insisted of treating you like your own person. Your mom is an idiot for allowing him to do this to you. People who turn their children into walking memorials and living monuments to their dead relatives suck. NTA. And saying you'll understand when he's dead is quite the guilt trip. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel our posts.